Rounding can be a really boring thing to teach. So playing games and taking it outside and things is a really good way just to spice it up.
Absolutely. And look, I mean, I had a phase where I was teaching majority boys classes, and I know girls are boisterous too, but man, if you've got a boy-heavy class, like this is gold. They will love this. Get them up, get them moving, or using all parts of their body. It's a winner.
Rainbow Sky Creations acknowledge the traditional owners of the land that we record this podcast on, the Dharawal and Whadjuk Noongar people. We pay our respects to their elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander cultures.
Welcome to Rainbow Skies for Teachers. I'm Alicia and I've got the lovely Ashley here with me.
Hello, hello. We're back talking about our favourite thing. But our favourite thing with a twist.
Absolutely. You're very good at meeting people, networking for our beautiful Rainbow Sky Creations. And she comes across some really interesting folks that she meets. And she met a lovely Kelly Bell. We've had her on the podcast, right?
Yes, she wasn't actually very long ago. A month or two ago, we spoke about sport and incorporating more movement into your classroom. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, go back and take a listen. But yes, I met Kelly and she said to me, could you come and talk at my conference? And I was like, hey, listen, Kel, I am not your gal. I'm not the person that is amazing at PE or sport. I'm not a sporty person. And she was like, well, you've got a limited mindset right there. PE is not sport and sport is not PE. And I want you to talk about how you can incorporate a little bit more movement using some of your awesome math ideas. And I was like, oh, okay. And I sat on it for a bit thinking, I do not know how I'm going to do this. And then one day, bam. It just like an explosion in my brain. It just went off and I came up with these ideas of how you could use Uno cards and some of our Uno card activities that the kids are already practicing in the classroom, how you could just transform them a little bit and turn them into movement games. So you could use these as games outside or as brain breaks. And one of the reasons we wanted to share this with you is because our most popular episode of the podcast last year was about outdoor learning, taking learning outside. So we thought, well, this is a really great way to talk about maths, one of the things that we love, but also give you a few more ideas on how you can take learning outside because there is so many wonderful reasons why we should take kids outside for learning.
And I think all of us would agree is once you kind of get the kids outside and you've set it all up so they know the expectations, it's really enjoyable and it's a great way to just spark the brain. Just refresh, reset, and off you go with your learning. So Ashley has put together a really great collection of inspired movement activities outside using Uno cards. So, hey, look, you love a challenge. Like we love a little challenge. So here we are ticking that off. And which one are we going to start with today?
We're going to start with the early years and then we'll move up in difficulty as the kids get older. All you're going to need to make this work are a deck of Uno cards. I actually ordered these really large ones for visually impaired people from Amazon. Oh my gosh, I've had so much love for these Uno cards. They're really fun. They're a little bit more expensive. We'll link them in the show notes, but they are fun to take outside if you want a little novelty. You're going to need a bit of chalk to put this together, and you're just going to need a fun attitude. So a little bit more of an open mind like what I needed in order to create these ideas to begin with.
And you're just going to need the cards 0 to 9. We won't need the special cards.
Oh, yes. You're only going to need cards 0 to 9, although we were talking at the conference when I was talking to all the wonderful primary school teachers that were there, that sometimes we can add in like a wild card when you're outside to do something a little bit extra fun. So we might touch on that as we talk through some of these ideas. The first one is Friends to 10. So, Alicia, how does this activity look inside the classroom?
So inside the classroom, we've got a grid, a 5x4 grid with the numbers 9 through to 1. And then the students would flip over a card. So if they flipped a 5, they're going to look for the grid for a 5. If they flip a 1, they're going to look on the grid for a 9. And the ultimate aim is they're covering the grid. You can make it competitive or they try to get a few in the row. But that's how it looks in the classroom.
Yes. So they are trying to find numbers that match together to make 10. You can do this one in kindergarten all the way through to grade 2. They still need practice in grade 2 for that fluency for Friends to 10. Okay, so to take this outside, ask your students to draw a tens frame on the playground. Now, this is a mathematical skill
in itself.
You might want to do this yourself, or you might want to give your kids a piece of chalk in groups, pairs or small groups, and get them to draw out a tens frame. Then in small groups, they have just a little pile of cards. They don't need too many. They draw a card and the partners go and jump on the friend to 10. So say they draw a 7, they look at their tens frame and they go and jump on the 3. Say they draw a 4, they look on their tens frame and they jump on the 6. You can mix this up. You could give them like, what are they called?
Sandbags,
Yes.
are you thinking?
Yes. Those
Or
bean
like
bags.
even bean bags or cones.
Yes.
Or
give them cones and they could
domes.
pop them on there. So there's lots of different ways that you could just adapt this slightly. But it's a really fun way of just getting them to move around, draw that tens frame, visualize it. And having the tens frame drawn is really important, especially for our younger kids, because then they can see how many more to make 10 once they're standing on a number 2. So they can kind of piece it together.
Absolutely. And I'm there in my head going, the first time you're going to do this, it's probably going to be a bit of a hot mess. And it's going to be what a 10-minute activity becomes a half an hour activity. But one, if you're doing it not when it's rainy, the next time you do it, the tens frames might still be there, or they can roughly see them and they go around them and it just becomes quicker. The skill that they will be building up on like doing the tens frame, recalling what it looks like, and then implying that skill of adding friends to 10 or building it up to friends of 20 or like friends of 100, off you go.
Yeah. If you've got kindergarten and you're thinking, okay, this will be a hot mess express trying to draw these tens frames on the playground, get a couple of year 3 or 4 students who are really eager. They will draw it for you so it's ready to go straight after recess. So you can utilise other people in there to help you as well.
But even the start of them, can they draw a tens frame? There's your assessment right there. Done.
Absolutely.
And the kids will love it, right?
I mean, you could also get some of those helpers to draw the grid and then ask your kids to draw the numbers.
Yeah.
So you can slowly add up to it. I can just imagine myself as a teacher and I'm thinking, oh, this is just in the too hard basket. So if you're thinking that but you'd like to give it a try, find easy ways to go about it.
That's it. And if you're thinking that, you have to do this activity. Like you need to get out of your mind. Challenge yourself, right? Like it could be your challenge for the week. And yeah, you can go home and treat yourself to whatever when you go, I did it. High five.
Absolutely. Now, a little alternative, if you're in the classroom and you're like, we're not going to get outside today, you can hold up an Uno card and then the kids need to hop or jump the friend to 10. So if you're holding up 5, the kids hop 5 times or jump 5 times to show that 5 plus 5 is 10. It's another little variation.
I like it. Nice one.
All right. Our next game, Alicia.
Simple addition. I'm going to be the person that's going to tell us what it looks like in the classroom. So very simply in the classroom, we'll have adding together a little template. The students flip over 2 Uno cards. So if they get a 3 and a 9, and then they've got a separate little grid, like a 5x4 grid again, and they have to find the answer. So 9 plus 3 is 12, and they put a counter on it. Then they flip over 2 more cards, and it might be 4 plus 4, and they put a counter on for 8. So that's what it looks like in the classroom.
Taking it outside, this is a really easy one to take outside. Go outside. If you've got a basketball court, I love a basketball court for all of these games because it's got lines, so you can keep it nice and formulated for everybody. Get everybody to stand on the back line of a basketball court. If you don't have that, that's fine. Just get them to stand in a line. Pull out 2 Uno cards for them to add together and then select what they're going to do to show you the answer. So you might pull out a 2 and a 5 and you're going to say hop the answer. So they're going to hop forward 7 times. The next time they might gallop. The next time they might skip. The next time they might jump. The next time they might do giant steps. But they're practicing that skill. You can do this one in 5 minutes max. Just get them to do a couple of little questions and then back in the classroom. Now, if your students are up to subtraction, you could then get them to do it backward. So you might start, say, okay, now we're going to subtract. Our first number's always going to be 10, and you're going to pull out the Uno cards for them to subtract from 10. Or you could still pull out 2 Uno cards, model to them that you've got to have the larger number first, and then they're going to solve it and move backwards in whatever way that you're asking them to move backwards.
So much fun. Super effective. Gets the bodies moving, ready for the next lesson or the next part of your maths lesson.
It sounds so simple, doesn't it? Like, it sounds like, okay, that's not an amazing idea, but kids love these sorts of games. Like, they eat them up.
What's that acronym? KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. Like, sometimes we overcomplicate it. I'm guilty of that all the time. Just ask Ashley.
Okay, our next activity.
All right. Odd or even sort. So a really simple one for like grades 1 to 2, where they are getting a pile of Uno cards and they've got two sides. One says odd, one side says even. They flip over a 1, that's odd. They flip over a 3, still odd. Flip over a 4, even. And so it is a fast-paced activity where they're flipping over cards and they're sorting them. So that is what it looks like in the classroom.
Okay, so out on the playground, get yourself 2 hula hoops per group, or you can just get your kids to draw circles or squares or triangles if you're learning about 2D shapes. Get them to label one shape odd and one shape even, and then get out your trusty bean bags. You can either have the kids playing in little groups, so they're pulling out their own numbers and they're sorting odd and even, or you can do it as a class, so you're holding up a big card and you're yelling, 4! Then they've got to throw their bean bag into the odd or the even bucket. So it might be, 4 is even, so they throw it to even. Then you pull out the next number. They throw it into whether it's odd or even. Now you can make this more complicated. Like, if you're listening to this and you're like, I teach year 4, but I'd love to take them outside and play this really simple game. You can pull out 4 Uno cards to create a 4-digit number. Hold them up together. I'm actually holding them, but no one can see. This is a podcast. It might be 4,226, and they need to decide whether that is odd or even and throw the beanbag into odd or even. Another one, if you're in the classroom, another way to do this is you could just say, okay, hands on heads for odds, hands on bottom for even, or you could have, okay, the front of the room is odd, the back of the room is even, move to the side of the room that this number is. So you can add the digits. You can use 1 digit, 2 digits by putting 2 Uno cards together, 3 digits and so on. So this game really can be played by kids of all ages.
I'm even thinking with the older kids, like you flip over 2 cards and they've got to add them together. You know what I mean? Like they know that an even and an even makes an even, an odd and an even. Yeah. Makes an odd, right? I was actually looking at this game and thinking about the game Capture the Flag, but I haven't been able to concoct quickly on my mind of like if you had a couple of students with odd and even, like they've been sorting it themselves, and then you as the teacher call out like an even number, and then they've got to try and steal an even from somebody else's area.
Is that like rob the nest?
Probably. Same version. But yeah, Capture the Flag or Rob the Nest is they're trying to get their pieces to eliminate that team, be the winning team. If you're listening, it might be sparking an idea and you went, I know how I can do that. Let us know.
Love it. All right, the next activity, Alicia.
So we're looking at comparing numbers. So we're moving up to grade 3 now. We're looking at that math skill of greater than, less than, equal to. In front of you, the students would have, if you know our Uno games, they've got a template. They're generating 2 2-digit numbers. So they might flip an 8 and a 6 to make 86, a 6 and a 2 to make 62. Then they're going to choose, is that a greater than or less than or equal than symbol? And they would put that in the middle. So there you have it. They could do that for 2-digit, 3-digit, decimals, fractions, you name it. Off you go.
Fabulous. So how can you do this outside? Go outside. Draw with your chalk, your trusty chalk, 2 large greater than and less than symbols, and then an equal sign in the middle. And you might want to do a couple of these so you don't have a class of 30 all trying to crowd around the same greater than and equal signs. Or you can, again, use your basketball court. Greater than on one side, equal to in the middle, less than on the other side, so you've got plenty of space. Draw your sets of Uno cards. So you're drawing your 2 2-digit numbers or your 3 3-digit numbers, or if you want to do this and you've only got little ones and you're drawing single-digit numbers, you can do that too. And the kids need to compare them and then run to the symbol that matches in the middle. So if they've got 92 and 71, they would run to the greater than symbol. If it was the opposite way around and they had 71 and then 92, they would run to the less than symbol. And if you want to model that mathematical language, you could even just write underneath the symbols what they are, greater than, less than, equals to, just for the kids to start modeling and understanding that language that they need to use. If you were going to use it in the classroom, print out signs or just write on a piece of paper and stick it up on one side of the classroom's greater than, the other side of the classroom is less than, and in the middle or right on the whiteboard is equals to, and you could do this activity in the classroom. Just get your kids to walk rather than run because we don't want any injuries.
Yeah, and like you can even get your hands out and have them chomping the numbers like I used to do, because I honestly still look at the greater than and less than symbol and just go, oh, which one is it again?
Oh, it's like the bigger side is greater, is bigger. The pointier side is smaller, so it's less.
Yeah, true. And then like to remember which symbol, I would have like the less than looks like a sidewards L. And then the greater than is like a back to front G. Honestly, the random things that you apply. But it's a great one. Gets them out and moving. And I think, look, I'm in my 40s and I'm still struggling with my greater than and less than symbol. So it's never too late.
It never
to do this game. All right. Our next one is rounding. So we're looking at grades 2 to 4. We're looking at number sense. So how this would look in the classroom, one of our templates. If you were doing like rounding a 3-digit number, they would flip over a 6, a 4 and a 2, which would make the number 642. And on this rounding sheet, they're rounding to the nearest 100. We have activities like rounding to the nearest 10, rounding to the nearest 1,000. And so they would go, 642, it's in the 40s and the 10s, I'm going to round down to 600. And so if we're moving up into grades 5 and 6, we'd be looking at rounding decimals and part numbers. So how would we do this outside with movement or inside with movement?
Okay, so again, you're going to need to get your students to draw an answer grid on the playground depending on what you're rounding. They need to draw boxes. If we're rounding to the nearest 10, they're going to count by 10. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 in the boxes. Then they're going to draw 2 cards to create a 2-digit number. And they're going to go and jump on the answer that they're rounding to, whether they round up or round down. So they might pull out 74 and they're going to jump on 70 because we would round that to 70 to the nearest 10. Now, if you were rounding to the nearest 100, instead of having 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, you would have 100, 200, 300, 400, and so on. If you were getting kids just to build that fluency with rounding just with single numbers, you would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way up to 10. Getting them to draw that grid on the playground, you're getting them to skip count, so they're practicing a little skill right there and then. They're actually visualizing what they're rounding to as they're going. They're seeing the possibilities before they even start rounding their numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. And even if you did have the rounding like 10, 20, 30, and you pulled out a 3-digit number, it could be with that 3-digit number round to the nearest 10. So they would say turn over a 374. It'd be like they'll jump on the 70 to say it's 370. So they're having to recall that 100, but got that tens value there to help them.
Yeah. Rounding can be a really boring thing to teach. So playing games and taking it outside and things is a really good way just to spice it up.
Absolutely. And look, I mean, I had a phase where I was teaching majority boys classes, and I know girls are boisterous too, but man, if you've got a boy-heavy class, like this is gold. They will love this. Get them up, get them moving, or using all parts of their body. It's a winner.
Yeah. I was actually, when we were at the conference talking through these games, someone asked me about rounding and teaching rounding in the classroom. And I said, the first thing I always do, especially in a year 2 and 3 classroom, is I get a big bit of masking tape on the floor and I create a number line. Mm-hmm. So it's really visual. And then I get kids to stand up and I'm like, okay, stand on the 2. Yeah. Are you closer to this end or are you closer to this end? Mm-hmm. Okay, now stand on the 8. So, and it just makes it really visual for them to see and understand the concept of rounding.
Yeah. It's going to take me too long. And honestly, round with dollars. If you're like, all right, you're like number line and you've got 10, 0 through 10. If you get $2, you know what I mean? Like you're going to like round down. You're like, I'm going to lose money. But imagine if you got $6, you're going to round up to $10 and you're going to, So sometimes just creating that like motivation of distance, travel, money. My eldest would be like, what? Give me $7 and you round it up to 10. Boo, yeah, I'm in.
And then you say, well, that's not really how life works. Sorry.
No, that's it.
Okay, next idea. We're getting through these.
We got multiplication fluency. So we're looking at grades 3 through to 6. Look, and you can even start this with the year 2s. You got skills multiplication, and how it would look is template, multiplication fluency, activity where they're flipping over single-digit cards. 7 times 5 is 35. My brain's going, 7 times 5 is 35, then they would mark it off on a hundreds grid or 120, 130 grid, whatever it might be if you're going up, if you're doing like a 12 times table,
Which
moving
you can't
up.
do with Uno cards. We often get this question, why doesn't it go to times 12? Because we don't have a 12 Uno card. That's
Yeah. And then if we kept
highest is 9 times 9.
That's right. And if we kept like a 1 in the tens, they would be doing like 2 times 19, which isn't a bad thing, but then they would have to know what 9 times 19 is if they flip it over in 17. Look, extension, go for it, but us gals are not incorporating it as an option just yet. So what would you do if you want to introduce movement to this activity, Ash?
I would take it outside. I'd give everybody a skipping rope, but ask them to work in pairs. Well, you could have a skipping rope, but you could do other things too. In pairs, partner A draws 2 cards, multiplies them. A 3 and a 2. 3 times 2 is 6. And then the partner, say they've got a skipping rope, jumps the answer. So they might jump 6 times. They might do star jumps 6 times. They might do 6 lunges. They might do push-ups, sit-ups, hops, burpees. And if you're really mean and they've got 9 times 9 and they've got to do 81
burpees.
But it's a really good way to practice a couple of those multiplication questions. If you've got kids that aren't up to just answering random questions between 2 cards, maybe you lock in 1 card. Okay, so one of your cards is 2. So we're just going to pull out the second one, and it might be 9 times 2, 3 times 2, 7 times 2. So that's one way that you can differentiate it or make it a little bit easier if you're teaching that grade 3 level that still is learning just one set of facts at a time.
Yeah, you don't want to make this a 20-minute lesson.
No.
Don't make it a 20-minute lesson because your kids are going to be exhausted.
You want to have success with it too. You want them to be able to answer the questions, do their movement, and then swap over, and then their partner gets a turn. But it's a fun one.
Yeah, absolutely. On a cold winter's day where they need to like wake up their bodies and brains, get them out doing their times tables, multiplication.
Yeah. We actually had an episode a couple of weeks ago about multiplication fluency, and we spoke about small daily tasks. This is a great small daily task that you could do to build up that practice with your multiplication fluency and your students. And it wouldn't take very much. Once you've given them the guidance of what you expect outside and how you go about it, then give them a bit of choice about whether they want to do burpees, whether they want to do push-ups, whether they want to use a skipping rope, and go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So our next one we're pitching for our big kids, our grade 5s, grade 6s for sure, is for prime numbers. Mm-hmm. So our little template is it this or that? Is it prime? Is it composite? So starting with single digits, they're sorting the numbers into prime and composite. So flip over a 1, 2, prime. Flip over a 4, a 6, composite. And as they get more confident, boost this up to 2-digit numbers. How do we make this fun with movement?
Okay,
Even
so
more fun.
We're going to bring out the basketball court again. Label 2 ends of your basketball court or 2 ends of the playground. Prime on one end, composite on the other. Draw out your Uno cards and then ask the class to run to the correct end. So you might draw out a 2. Are they going to run to prime? Are they going to run to composite? Now, this is really good for the kids that aren't really confident and don't know because they're going to follow the crowd, but they're going to be learning as they go. Now, we spoke about adding in some of the fun extra cards. So you could add in some fun rules for your grade 5s and grade 6s if you're doing an activity like this. For example, if you pull out a skip card, the next time they've got to skip to the end that they've got to go. If you pull out a reverse card, they have to run backwards. If you pull out a wild card, the teacher needs to answer the question and the kids don't have to. Alternatively, if you don't want them to be running up and down the playground, the hula hoop idea would work too. Get out 2 hula hoops, label 1 prime, 1 composite, and they're throwing their bean bags in depending on what number they pick out. They could do that one in small groups as well. You could do this in the classroom. Prime on one wall, composite on the other, and get them to move or get them to point. Get them to put hands on heads for prime, hands on bottoms for composite. There are so many different variations.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like you've just opened up the floodgates for ideas of how to incorporate movement with Uno games and with maths.
Exactly. And the best part is they're working on that maths in the classroom. So they're building those skills in the classroom and then you're getting them outside, giving them a little brain break, you're giving them that movement. And we know that when kids go outside and when teachers go outside, it's really beneficial for their learning, for their well-being. So you're killing so many birds with one stone. And I really don't think that is probably the right analogy to use.
But it's win-win for the teachers and for the students. So that's got to be worth something. There's something as well we've recently created that could pair up nicely if you're loving the idea of movement, brain breaks, cards. And what might it be, Ash?
We have created a set of brain breaks using cards. When you thought we couldn't think of more ideas to use cards, here we are with a set of brain breaks. Now, they come in cards, so you can just go through them, pick them randomly. We also created a PowerPoint presentation, so if you want to put it up on your screen, you can do that. If the kids are loving them in maths, you've got them already there. Why not utilise them and use them for your brain breaks?
Yeah, so we put together like 28 different activities you could use throughout the year and give them a try and get maybe double thumbs up from kids or not that one, but we'll keep playing this one. Yeah.
Yeah. Kids, when they find something that they love, stick with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, make
absolutely.
the most of it. Now, one other thing before we go, we'll make sure that those brain breaks are linked in the show notes. Those brain breaks were actually born out of this conference that I did with Kelly because I got lots of questions from the primary school teachers that were there and we were chatting about different ideas. And I came home and I told my mum about the presentation, how well it went. And I was explaining to her some of the ideas and then it just evolved into brain breaks. And from then on, I was sitting on the lounge on my computer, typing away vigorously saying, Alicia, I've got an amazing new product.
Woo woo.
They'll be linked in the show notes. But the other thing, the final thing that's going to be linked in the show notes is a freebie that is going to help you with these outdoor games. The games that we mentioned today all come in a freebie. It's a workshop that we've taught over the years, but it has some printables to go with it. So the Friends of 10 we spoke about, the greater than and less than, the multiplication fluency, the prime number hunt. It includes those templates. So if you want to start using them in your classroom, you want to give them a little try, there's something for every grade, then you can do that. And then you can use some of our ideas to take it outside.
Awesome.
So that's
Love it.
linked in the show notes as well.
So I hope that's inspired you to go get your cards, go get some chalk. If it's wintertime where it is here in Australia, put a jacket on and get outside with the kids. Rain, hail or shine,
if it's
worth it.
summertime and you're homeschooling, these activities are perfect for you as well.
Yeah. So until next time.
We'll be back next week. Until next time. There are rainbows ahead, my friend.
And together we're unstoppable.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for choosing to listen to Rainbow Skies for Teachers, the go-to show dedicated to teachers who want to make a big difference in education.
If you enjoyed the episode, please leave us a 5-star review or share the episode with a friend. Because together we're
Unstoppable.